up guys, Josh from the Bermo method here. Today I'm going to run you through exactly how to work out the macronutrients you need in order to hit your physique goals in the most efficient and effective way. Now before we get started with the details, I want to reinforce the fact that calories are king, okay? So if you want to lose or gain weight, you can do so without even worrying about your macros as long as your caloric intake is in check. Now, with that being said, it's not going to give you everything, okay? If you want to take the next step and really look the way you want to, you need to get your macros, in check. I have clients coming to me all the time saying, I'm dropping my calories each week, or I'm on a ridiculously low amount of calories and I still don't look the way I want to. This is because of our macronutrients. Now, what I mean by that is 2,000 calories of protein and fat will make you look and feel completely different to 2,000 calories of carbs and fats, okay? It's because the different macronutrients affect our bodies in different ways. Let's get into the good stuff. Now, there are 3 macronutrients that we need to track and we need to work out. They are protein, fats, carbohydrates, okay? So, protein is the most important macronutrient. Without protein, you will not gain or maintain any muscle. Okay, you need protein, it's the most important. Number 2, fat. It is also essential. You must have fat in your diet. Without fat, you feel awful, your hormones won't be regulated properly, and you'll have really foggy cognitive ability. So you always want to make sure that you're keeping fat in your diet, okay? Carbohydrates, the 3rd macronutrient, aren't essential. We do not need carbohydrates to function properly. However, they are good. They're an easy source of energy if we use them right, okay? So, just to recap, must do protein, must do fat. Carbs aren't essential, but they help us if we can fit them into our diet. For every gram of protein, there is 4 calories, okay? For every gram of fat, there is 9 calories. For every gram of carbs, there is 4 calories, okay? So from there, we need to work out what our minimum requirements are. Now, this is something that's probably a little bit controversial or people have different opinions, but I just go off what's worked for me and what's worked for my clients, okay? So, as I said before, we always want to start with working out protein first. What I use is 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So, 2 grams per kg body weight, okay? At a minimum, okay? At an absolute minimum, that is what I recommend. You can increase it if you want to, but that is definitely the minimum I would say. I go a little bit higher than that. I go about 2.5 grams per kilo, but it's completely up to you as long as you're not going under 2 grams per kilo per day. Okay, now moving on. Fat. As fat's also essential, we need to work this out next. What I recommend at a minimum is 0.8 grams per kg of body weight. So 0.8 grams of fat per kilo of our body weight per day. Now, as I said, carbs aren't necessary, so they do not have a minimum requirement. How we fit them in is we fit them in with the excess or the leftover calories that we can fit into our budget. So, let's use an example of a person here. I have Bob, my little stick figure man over here. Bob is 80 kilos, okay? He has a maintenance calories of 3,000 calories per day. So what that means is if he consumes 3,000 calories per day, he won't lose or gain weight. How do we work out our maintenance calories? We can't pretty much, or there's no exact way to work it out. It's through trial and error. What I would do, what I would recommend is go and use an online calculator, and then you just need to do trial and error from there. So consume the same amount of calories for a week, see what happens to your body, and then that's how you determine your true maintenance level of calories. But for the purpose of the video and for Bob's sake, we're going to say that he's 80 kilos and he maintains on 3,000 calories per day. Okay, now, like I said before, we would need to work out protein first. So, getting my calculator out, Bob is 80 kilograms, okay? So, 80 times 2 is 160 grams of protein at a minimum, okay? Now, like I said, that is the absolute minimum, so I would recommend rounding it up a little bit or adding a little bit extra on. So I'm going to add an extra 20 grams just for safety. So, 180 grams of protein for Bob. Okay, now we need to work out fat, as fat is also essential. So, 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight. So, Bob is 80 kilos times by 0.8 equals 64 grams, okay? At a minimum. Now, like I said before, I'd rather round it up a little bit just to be safe. Also, fat is a high satiety food, so it makes us feel fuller for longer. So let's round it up to 75 grams. 75 grams of fat. Okay, so now, how do we work out how much carbs we can fit into our diet? So, what we need to do is then convert, the grams into calories. So, as we said before, protein is 4 calories per gram for protein. So, we're going to do 180 grams of protein times by 4 equals 720 calories, okay? Now, for our fat is 9 calories per gram. So 75 grams of fat times by 9 equals 675 calories. 675. Okay, so now we can work out how much carbs we can fit into our diet. So from here, we want to go 3,000, which is our maintenance calories. 3,000 minus 720 for the protein minus 675 for the fat equals 1,605 calories from carbohydrates. Now, how do we work that out in grams? We're going to divide it by 4 equals 401 grams of carbs. Now, this is 3,000 calories, which is Bob's maintenance. Now, I want to also emphasize these two here can be adjusted, okay? If you would rather have more fat in your diet, you can increase your fat and decrease your carbs, depending on whatever you prefer. But never go under that minimum amount, okay? Never go under the minimum amount for fat. You can always increase, but don't decrease. Okay, so now we need to work out our goals, and from that we can determine our cutting or our bulking macros and calories. So, when we're cutting, I recommend a 500 calorie deficit. So, from our maintenance 3,000, we're going to go 3,000 calories minus 500 equals 2,500 calories. If we're bulking, we don't need to be as aggressive and we can get by on 300 calorie surplus. So we're going to go 3,000 plus the extra 300 calories equals 3,300. So that's our cutting and our bulking calories, okay? Now, in order to work out the macros from that, what I would do is I would keep these the same. Keep our protein and our fat the same and decrease our carbs, okay? So keep protein and fat the same and either decrease or increase our carbs dependent on our goal calorie intake. I hope that makes a lot of sense. What I just want to reinforce is protein is so important. If you're not getting your required amount of protein in, you will not gain any muscle and you will not maintain muscle. When you're in a deficit and you don't have enough protein, your muscle will be burnt as energy, okay? Second, fat is essential. Don't get rid of fat at our diets. We need it for hormone regulation, cognitive ability, and feeling good, okay? So make sure that we're having fats, make sure they're healthy fats that are high in micronutrients, okay? Carbs are not essential, but they are perfect energy source rather when we are bulking, and they're also quick and easy as long as we can fit them into our diets. Now, I hope that makes a lot of sense. You can pretty much follow that to a T, and you will achieve what you want to as long as your training is adequate. But if you'd like some more help, you can send me a message or look me up on my website and I can sort out a more detailed, specific plan tailored to your needs. Thank you for watching. All the best.